right. Hey, everyone. It's Kirk here again at Option Alpha. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a really cool one for you, continuing our theme here. This is episode number 6 of just deep diving into a bunch of math, stats, probabilities, research, everything that I hope will help get you at least one step closer to your trading goals. So as always, if you have any questions or have anything you want to reach out to us with, send us an email, team@optionalpha. We'd be happy to help. Comment on the video. We'll get those as well today too. So episode number 6 today. If you haven't gone back and watched the first 5 episodes, and if this is your first time here, please also go back and watch those first 5 episodes because we continue to build on different themes as we go through it. Today's going to be a really cool one where we're going to be talking about probability theory and how many trades it takes to finally be successful with your trading, which is a question that we get often. And actually, it's one of those things that I try to jump up on my soapbox with all the time. I did it just recently this morning in the community, just telling people, like, pounding this into people's brains, this idea around high number of trade count and how many trades it takes to get there and getting your mindset right around that. So as always, we'll jump into the slides here. We'll go through a lot of different things in the presentation today. Like I said, if you have questions, you can shoot them in the chat. Let me know as we're going through this, or shoot us an email, team@optionalpha. So yeah, if you guys want to bring up the slides, we can start jumping into this. All right, so like I said, we're going to be talking about probability theory today and how many trades it takes to be successful. This is a question that we get honestly all the time. People are continuously asking, it's like some version of, well, how many trades does it take? And like, what if I backtest a strategy and it's 2 trades? Or, what if I run a strategy and I make 5 trades? And does it make sense that it's a good trading strategy or a bad trading strategy? And so it's one that I frankly struggle with trying to tell people all the time, that you just have to have enough patience and persistence and consistency to let trades play out over time, which is hard. I understand that it's like mindset wise, it's really hard to trade for potentially an entire year and then say, oh, okay, did it work at that point? But when you see the math and you see the numbers around it, I hope that it gives you a level of confidence to really stick with it. Not only just research a good strategy, but also really to stick with it moving forward, because so much can happen early. So before I jump into this, by the way, as always, all credit goes out to Rob from our team who put all this research together. I just happen to be the nice person who gets to present this research to you guys. So kudos to Rob, as always, for crushing it with this research and this data for all of us to consume. So look, if you've been around options trading long enough, like I said, you're inevitably going to hear people say phrases like, let the probabilities play out, which is what we say. Or if you listen to like other people out there, say trade small, trade often. But we're basically saying one and the same thing, which is just that you can't make options trading successful if you are doing these massive, stinky, ugly looking trades that are just too large and too ugly and too fat, and you don't do enough trades over time. Like, it's just not going to work out. So really, it becomes a game of pure chance, speculative luck if you do a couple little trades or a couple big trades and you don't let the probabilities continue to work out over time. So the law of large numbers says that we need a lot of trades to realize those exact probabilities. So if we're targeting a 70% chance of success, there's no way that we're going to hit a 70% chance of success if we only make one trade, right? If we make one trade, there's no way statistically we can get a 70% win because we just made one trade. It's a binary event. It's either a win or a loss. But if we trade 2 trades, okay, well, now we have a better chance of hitting something around 70. We're not going to hit 70 yet either, because we're probably going to have 2 wins, 2 losses, or 1 win, 1 loss, and 50% win rate. But you can start to see how the math starts to play out. The more that we trade, the more that we're going to likely hit that target that we're shooting for. So I always used to say, like, you're going to hit exactly what you're shooting for. Given enough attempts, you're going to hit exactly what you're shooting for. Okay. So the question now is, exactly how many trades do you need to make, though? Like, what is the answer? Do we need to make 100 trades? Do we make 200 trades? Does it matter? Does it depend on the time? Depend on the weather? Who's the president? I don't know. So here's what we did. First of all, we did research on just flipping a coin. This is the easiest, most dead simple thing that people can understand, because it's a binary event. You either have heads or tails. That's it. And so we simulated 1,000 coin flips of 10 different coins. So imagine you had 10 coins lined up at your desk, and then you flipped each of those coins 1,000 times, right? And they're just all like just flip the coin, count how many times you had heads versus tails. The likelihood or the expected outcome is that you should have 50% heads, 50% tails, right? If it's a fair coin, you should have 50% heads, 50% tails. But if you actually look at this chart and down along the bottom here, you can see the number of flips. So 0 flips, obviously we didn't know. After 1 flip, you can see it went either direction. Like you either had no heads or you had heads. You had tails or heads, right? After 1 flip. And this gets to the, starts the whole train towards this expected outcome. But that first flip is going to be the widest gap that it will ever be in your potential outcome. Maybe the first couple flips, right? And then so after a while, you get to about 50 flips of the coin. And this is where it becomes, frankly, really hard for traders to wrap their heads around it. But my goal here is to show you this so that you understand, you get more confident around your trading. Like after 50 flips of the coin, look at the disparity between 10 different coins. Just visually look at this. Each line represents a different coin's path. You could think about it as being 10 versions of the exact same trading strategy for different people. And this one always blows my mind, and I always try to get this across to people in the community. But you could take 10 traders and you could literally deploy almost the exact same strategy for those 10 traders. And in the first 50, 100, whatever it is, those 10 traders trading the same strategy could have wildly different outcomes. And it's just all micro differences in fills and capital and timing and stuff like that. Could have very different outcomes, or just could have different outcomes depending on how the market plays out. But you look at even a coin flip, after 50 flips, after 100 flips, look how far the disparity is around the expected outcome. If you flip a coin 100 times, and think about this for a second, okay, this line right here, you guys see this one? This is like a light mint, kind of like teal looking colored line. This line here, after 200 flips of a coin, had 40% heads and 60% tails. Now, if I walked up to anybody on the street, literally, and said, hey, I'm going to flip a coin 200 times, and after 200 flips, how many heads should I have? They would say 50%, right? And that is the expected outcome. That's what it should be. But for whatever reason, the path that it took to get there wasn't exactly linear. It doesn't go one head, one tails, one head, one tails, one head, one tails. And unfortunately, that's how most traders think. Most traders think if I'm trading 70% chance of success, I should have 7 wins in a row, followed by 3 losses in a row. 7 wins, 3 losses, 7 wins, 3 losses. But it's just not how it works out, right? Unfortunately, a lot of people learn this the hard way. I'm here to hopefully teach you that you don't have to learn it the hard way. You can just see it right here, and you can set yourself up for success by changing your mindset and how you allocate positions, etc. Now, if you take that same 200 set of coin flips, right, and you go all the way up here to a completely different coin, right? Completely different coin, same type, same side, right? Like same style, same weight on both sides. You go to a completely different coin. After 200 flips, that coin had a, say, 60%, I'm rounding here, say a 60% win or number of heads and 40% tails. So now somebody would say, well, that coin is rigged, or they might say this coin is rigged. And it doesn't matter. It's the same equally weighted coin. It's just that the outcome to getting there was significantly different because you just didn't have enough occurrences yet to consolidate around the expected outcome. So what we see in the coin flip simulation here with 1,000 flips of 10 different coins is that it's not until you get around 500 flips of the coin that you start to see that expected outcome start to consolidate. And that consolidation around that 50% doesn't get dramatically tighter after that. You can see after 600, even 700, you start to, in some cases, deviate back around, away from that. And you might find this in your own trading too, is like you get to a certain number of trades and you're hitting exactly 70% wins, which is what you want. But then after that, it starts to tail like in one direction. Maybe you dip under 70%, and it's okay. It's what it is. You just are running into, some weird times where things are kind of falling into place a different way than the expected outcome, but it still keeps that same tightness throughout. So once you hit about 500 coin flips, you start to see things really consolidate around 50%, which is the expected outcome. So in this case, if you're betting on a coin flip, you really don't want to do anything until you get to that first 500, kind of like level. That's where things will really start to consolidate for you. Okay. So now let's do a simulation of 5,000 coin flips of 10 different coins. Now look here, this is the same thing, just playing out a little bit differently, but these are 10 new coins. And now we simulated 5,000 coin flips. And you can see once again that once we get to, and this goes even further out than the previous chart because just we had the data to do this, but you get to around 2,000 coin flips and it really starts to consolidate and it becomes very, very tight around that expected outcome of one heads to one tails, right? That's where you start to see it. So if you're trading and you start to apply this, and we'll do this with options trades too, but you start to apply this methodology to how you trade, basically you can't assess the legitimacy of any trading strategy inside a certain number of trades. And so what we're trying to figure out is, okay, how many trades is that? Really, how many trades can we start to assess the legitimacy of trades? And by the way, I see it all the time in the community. So right inside of Option Alpha, we try to call it out as many times as we can. You guys can help each other too. But like people will post a trading strategy and God love them that they're posting and sharing. And I appreciate that. But they'll post it and it'll have 50 trades or 20 trades. And they'll be like, this trading strategy is killing it. It's awesome. It's murdering the market. It's the best thing since sliced bread. And then a bunch of other people will come in and be like, oh, can I get your template? Let me trade your trading strategy. And I'm just sitting there going, please don't do this. Like you guys, we don't know. It could be the best thing since sliced bread, but we don't know yet. And so I just want you guys to understand, you have to have like a rational head on your shoulders here when it comes to the number of trades, because it does take a lot of trades for these probabilities to play out. Sometimes things work out really, really well to start and then they fall off. And sometimes a really great strategy will just absolutely suck it right at the beginning of its life. Could suck for 6 months, ends up being the best strategy you could trade. You just had to trade through that environment. And I know that's difficult. I know that's tough. Okay. So let's switch now and use options trades to find a similar kind of convergence point around this expected outcome, which we're going to express as a percentage. So here's what we did. We used a massive data set. We've been collecting so much data inside of all of our research that we do. And so we try to partition some of it to something that seems really reasonable for what traders would do. So we did days to expiration of trades, 21 days to 45 days, the probability of max profit around 65 to 75%. So we're trying to target something on average around 70% chance of success. We filtered all trades for positive alpha, which means that on an expected value basis, if you don't know what alpha is or don't know what expected value is, go back to the previous shows that we did in this series. But on an expected value basis, we wanted positive alpha, which means that they have to be trades that from the onset have positive expected outcome. If they don't have positive expected outcome, we shouldn't be trading them anyway. So we throw those out to begin with. And then the fourth thing is we excluded all earnings and ex-dividend events. So we didn't trade around earnings. We didn't trade through ex-dividend events. Those things can wildly skew what we want to do as traders. And so we want to stick to the core fundamental things that work and, kind of ignore all of those other events. So there's some other things we did. It's all in the research, just kind of like filtering for number of positions in a ticker and an expiration. We tried to spread things out so it wasn't focused on one expiration. We tried to simulate essentially as much as we could what a real environment would be for traders. Okay, so here's what happens if we look at the evolution of win rates over 100 trades. In this case, we did 10 different sets of trades, right? So 10 different trades. Again, they're all 21 to 45 days, all probability of max profit around 70%, positive alpha trades. But look at this. This is crazy. In your first 100 trades, and by the way, if you're looking at this right now, if you don't think to yourself, this is what I feel like, right? If you're a trader, you can say I have felt this, Kirk, right? You get started with a trading strategy and you make one trade. Here's your one trade, right? And now you have this binary event. You either win or lose on your first trade. Second trade comes up, win or lose. You think you're a genius. You think that this strategy sucks. Whatever the case is, you have these binary events. You start getting into your first dozen or 2 dozen trades. Now the probabilities are starting to converge. But at the same time, you find yourself in this range where you are winning or you are losing and you don't really know how to feel. Your emotions are getting stretched to either end to some degree, right? You get to around 50 trades. So this is middle of the chart here. Now look, 50 trades for a regular trader might take you a couple months to do, depending on how active you are trading. If you're making 50 trades, it might have been a trade or two a week. I mean, it could take a long time if you're doing a trade or two a week. If you're doing one trade per week, to get to 50 trades is essentially an entire year's worth of trading, right? Now, you've traded for an entire year, a strategy that you know has a high probability of success, that you know has a positive expected outcome, and yet you're all over the place, or you could be all over the place with your win rate. Some trader, maybe one trader who is trading this strategy, has a win rate around 60%. Maybe they're even slightly underwater on the trade overall, right? Whereas another trader, after 50 trades, thinks that they've just found the holy grail and they're about to quit their day job, right? In both cases, it's too far, too extreme. And that's what we're trying to show you here, is that when you have even a great trading strategy that you know is going to win statistically with enough occurrences, the path to getting there can be very, very bumpy. And in the first 50 trades, even in the first 100 trades, it can be wildly dispersed between traders. This is what I see all the time. People come in, they say, man, options trading sucks. This thing doesn't work. It's terrible. I can't figure it out. And then I ask usually a question like, how many trades did you do? What was your position size? It's like the normal questions. And they're like, I made 60 trades, position size was pretty large, so I lost on a couple of big ones. I'm like, look, anything can happen in 60 trades. Anything can happen in 100 trades. You could look like an absolute rock star genius. You could look like an idiot. It's the same strategy. It's just the path to getting there. And that's really what you have to take away from this. Okay, so let's take it out even further now. So now after 250 trades, here's what you'd see those strategies start to develop into. You can start to see that they are starting to consolidate around the 70% expected outcome, right? They're no longer as volatile as they were in the first 100 trades. You start getting out towards that 250 type range of number of trades. You really should start to see the consolidation. You should start to feel better about your strategy. It should start winning at the rate that it's expected to win. But again, this is the hard part too. If you're watching this right now, like I can say 250 trades, but living through 250 trades, if you're trading one day a week, it's going to take many years to get the 250 trades. You just have to be prepared for that. If you're trading a couple times a week, then you could get there potentially faster. But over time, if you get to 250 trades, you should start to feel and see more consistency in your trading. Even at this point, if you look at this poor trader right here, whoever this unlucky soul was at this time, this person still, after 250 trades, has never found that magic 70% average. So this is a guy or girl or lady or whoever who is trading and is now in the process of like really thinking, is this worth it for me? Should I continue to do this? Because I'm at 60, 65%, probabilities don't work, this thing sucks, it's crap, it's what I hear it all the time, right? But they still haven't traded enough, and they're just in a range that just doesn't work right now for the sequencing of the trades that they had. All right, so now let's do 500 trades, okay? So now we get out here to 500 trades. Now at 500 trades, things really start to consolidate, right? So you start to get out to 500 trades. This guy comes back a little bit. Some people do even better than 70%. They're like crushing it, killing it all the way out. And then they start getting to 500 trades. They start running through a bad string of trades. Maybe a couple hundred trades just don't go on average well. And so they start coming back towards this 70% probability of expected outcome, okay? Now you get to 1,000 trades. And this is where it gets really interesting. In our case, this is where we think it gets super interesting. Is that after you get out here and you start to see, these bands really start to collapse down around 500 or so trades. You can see this visually in the chart here. I didn't draw that red line, but you can see this visually where the volatility of these bands starts to collapse and it starts to converge around this expected outcome. Although it's higher than the expected outcome, at least the volatility of the different outcomes starts to converge, right? And you get out here to around 1,000 trades, And it's almost at this point that you start almost exactly hitting 70% wins, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you like that 1,000 trades is the perfect amount. It just means that as far as expected outcome goes, you probably need about 1,000 trades to get there, to get your exact expected outcome with very little variability or volatility or deviation from that expected outcome. Could you get something closer to it in 500 trades? Sure, you probably could, but there's still a lot of subjectivity in 500 or 1,000 trade or 750 trades. It's not until you get to about 1,000 trades that you start to see this start to converge a lot more. So now we get to 2,000 trades, and this is where it just gets really interesting from a longevity standpoint. You get to 2,000 trades, and about 1,000 trades is right in here, and you start to see that this gets super, super tight. And the variability from 1,000 trades to 2,000 trades is not that much at all. We're talking a percentage or two, maybe 3% in both directions, like as far as variability. That's where you start to hit a really good stride as a trader. And it becomes this thing where if you're trading, your goal in life as trading is to literally keep the lights on and stay alive long enough to let these probabilities work out. Then you should probably ask yourself questions like, well, how do I stay alive? And it's doing things like small position sizes, not getting too over, one-sided on the market, having balanced positions, having an uncorrelated basket of tickers that you're trading, like don't trade Apple and Tesla and QQQ. Like those are all highly correlated to one another. So you should probably mix in some other things. Your goal as a trader is to stay alive long enough for these probabilities to work out. And if you don't, and if you do all the things that don't help you stay alive long enough, you're never going to get to this range here where you start to kind of hopefully hit your stride with some of your trading and some of the things that you're doing. Okay. So the results, to kind of wrap this up here, the results are very, very clear. Unwavering consistency pays off in the end. 1,000 trades is absolutely within the 2-3% standard deviation of your 70%, which means that if you really want to hit 70% or 80% or 55% or whatever your target is, you probably need about 1,000 trades to do it. So now we break this down even more. And so to achieve 1,000 trades in your single first year trading, you probably need to add 4 trades per day over the 252 trading days. That's what you would need to do in order to hit that target. So if you're a trader now and you're thinking, how many trades does it take to be successful? Probably takes about 1,000 trades. You got to live through 1,000 trades. And if you break that down and back that down into something that you can do right now today, it's probably you would enter 4 positions per day. If you get 4 positions on per day and you have 4 trades per day over 252 trading days, then you probably give yourself a really good opportunity to hit that 1,000 trade in 1 year. Now, am I saying that you need to hit 1,000 trades in 1 year? Absolutely not. I'm just saying if that's what you want to do, you can certainly strive to do it. I think if you come into this business, because it is a business with a little bit longer mindset than just 1 year, I got to do this in 1 year or 1 month, then you could at least stretch this out to 2 or 3 years and say, okay, I need to make 1 to 2 trades a day, right? Like that's the 1 to 2 trades a day keeps the black swans away. That's really what it is, right? So you can make 1 to 2 trades a day over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, and you probably hit 1,000 trades. And if you hit 1,000 trades, there's a very good likelihood that you're going to hit your target probability of success or something around that zone, and you're going to be profitable as a trader. And that is your goal as a trader. It's to last long enough in this business to hit that stride, to hit that kind of sweet spot where you're now cruising. You don't feel like you're doing this like seesaw in the beginning of your trading strategy. Okay. So I hope this really helps out today. As always, thank you so much for being here. That kind of wraps it up for us here on the Option Alpha Show. If you have any questions at all, please let us know. We really hope that this research helped out. If it did, please share with a friend, a trading buddy, somebody you know that might help and need this show right now for their trading strategy. And until next time, happy trading.